Okay, shall we? Shall we? I want to share a few more images here. One person asked me to share this, a poetic image of this. Imagine a stone falling in water. And imagine the water the stone is falling in is bottomless. It's abyss-like. It's a bottomless abyss. And so the stone is falling forever, falling forever in a bottomless abyss. And imagine that the stone is falling alongside an underwater cliff that has protrusions sticking out here and there. And every so often, the stone lands on one of those protrusions, and it momentarily pauses in its descent. But then in the undulations of the water, it goes rolling off, falling, then it's again. And imagine you are that stone. And imagine you're falling forever into the bottomless abyss of God, like this. And every so often you land somewhere, and you say to yourself, I think I'll go to college and major in this. I think this will work for me. See? And then you go rolling off. I think I'll get married. Maybe not. I think I'll have a child. Maybe not. I think I'll get divorced. Maybe not. I think I'll move to Idaho. Maybe not. And so for a while, you're kind of in a place where it feels like it works for you. And it goes rolling off. It goes rolling off. It goes rolling off. This way. And let's say then, as this happens to you over and over and over again, it starts to dawn on you that the bottomless abyss in which you're making your descent is welling up and giving the abyss-like depth of itself in and as the concrete immediacy of the situation you're presently in, then you're a mystic. See? Does that make sense in a way? Sure, it does. Another thing I want to share is I was giving a retreat to a large group of nuns at a mother house of sisters. And it was a day like this. I was talking like this. And in the back row, there was an elderly nun. And she would sit with her eyes closed, and she would lean her chin on her cane like this. And when I would talk poetically, every so often she'd go. And I thought, this is a soulmate, right? And then there was a liturgy, and the only empty chair was next to her for the liturgy. So I sat down next to her, and she turned to me and said, Dr. Finley, she said, I'm stone deaf. I depend on God to guide me. And she went, I thought, boy, that's really good. Let's get the point. Oh, I want to share another image here about the healing stories of Jesus in the gospel. In a way, they're all alike. You look at the healing stories. Jesus spent whole nights in prayer. And he would come out walking the earth, looking to deliver people from suffering, like the Buddha. Walk. I'll share with you a story about the Buddha than Jesus. The Buddha, when he had his enlightenment, he lived for years as itinerant preacher, turning the wheel of the Dharma, teaching the great deliverance this way. And when he was very advanced in years, he died of accidental food poisoning. And so the attendants, when they realized what happened, of course, they were very upset. And so they said to the Buddha, we're going to go tell the cook what he did. And the Buddha said, don't do that. Our brother already has enough self-esteem issues. If you tell him he killed the Buddha, he'll be in therapy for years. Besides, what's better, a meal lovingly prepared to nourish the body of the Buddha, or a meal lovingly prepared that unwittingly sends the Buddha into his final liberation? See, that's salvation right there, I think. Right. So Jesus would walk the earth looking for, and when the word got out, the suffering would come looking for him. I have leprosy, I'm a prostitute. My daughter died. I can't see, I can't walk, I can't, whatever. And the woman with the flow of blood, if I but touch the hem of his robes, I shall be made whole. When I would come back from a retreat, walk in the door, Maureen would be waiting for me. And she'd say, "Well, there are a lot of hemmers there. People protect the hem of his robes." And once there was a physician there, and I was signing books at the inn. I looked behind me, and he was kneeling on the floor behind me, touching the hem of my pants. And his wife took his picture. That's right. And here's the healing. They would come to the person, and Jesus knew the root of their suffering was not that they had leprosy, or they couldn't see, or they couldn't talk, they couldn't, what was it? Their issue was that they thought they were what was wrong with them. That's the issue. It was the idolatry over the brokenness. And here's the truth. And he said, and then there would be a miracle, like the lame would walk, the blind would see. And he said, this is a sign that you might believe the true miracle. And here's the true miracle. I'm going to say it poetically. That Jesus is standing there with the person being healed, whatever it is. And this is between them. And Jesus says to the person, I know you. From before the origins of the universe, God the Father contemplated you and me, hidden with Christ and God forever. This is the unborn you that was never born, because God has never, never, never not known who you are in me. And the you that was never born is you that will never die. This way, I know you this way. And reflected in his eyes, they saw their true face, and they were free. And they walked away. They had to live their life. They had to die, but they walked away free. And that's experiential salvation. See? How can we find within ourselves, dying moment by moment by moment by moment? We're all dying here. We're all sitting here melting like candles, really. When you think about it. And I have another image too. What if we would all agree? Let's say we all lived here, and we would all agree that we would meet once a week for an hour, and we would all sit in exactly the same place, and we would all sit in the same place every day, and it would be a commitment until we die. This way. And the months would go by, and somebody would die. When somebody died, they would cremate the person, and they would put their ashes on the chair where they sat for years when they were here. And let's say the first person that died was the person that sat next to you for years, and you're looking at the ashes, boy, that was close. And another person dies, another person dies, another person dies, and eventually you're the last one left, sitting in a room full of ashes, you're the last one left, and then you die. In those ashes. And people would come from miles around on pilgrimage to light candles. This is where they sat every day endlessly until death, like pilgrimage this way. Yeah.